What's up, guys? Your boy, 20K13, going to talk about 10 reasons why your friends don't watch wrestling anymore. And this comes from WhatCulture.com. Believe it or not, it used to be cool to watch wrestling. When Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and the NWO were dominating Monday night, Mission Raw or Nitro meant being left in the dust come Tuesday conversation with similarly obsessed friends. Those days are long gone. There is misconception among those in power in the wrestling industry that the business is cyclical. Periods of lesser popularity and profitability are followed by periods of greater popularity. And all a good promoter can do is hold on, whether the lean time and look forward to the next boom. In truth, that line of thinking constitutes little more than wrestling executives excusing their own stubborn behavior. Like in any other business, identifying problems beat waiting for salvation. How did it all change? How could wrestling once mandatory watching for teenagers, college students, young adults, and anyone who prides themselves on being on the cutting edge of pop culture experience such a mass exodus of fans? In a period of a few years, millions of people stopped watching pro wrestling, and in the years since, the numbers have become even weaker. It's not 1999 anymore. When Tuesday morning rolls around, there's nobody to talk to about the hot angles on Raw the night before. Then again, maybe there weren't any hot angles on Raw the night before. Here are 10 reasons why your friends don't watch wrestling anymore. Number 10. Blowing the biggest storyline of all time, WWE was riding such a wave of popularity in the early 2000s that they managed to put their primary competitor, WCW, out of business, pursuing the asset of the organization for its own. Many fans expected the greatest storyline of all time to come as a result, but instead they got the first major misstep from WWE following their greatest boom period ever. The invasion was doomed from the start, not because WWE refused to shell out the money we needed to acquire the contract of superstars like Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Sting, and Bill Goldberg, though that would have helped, but because they had no interest in making the WCW talent look competitive with WWE roster, apparently forgetting that Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page, Chris Kanyon, Lance Storm, and the Light were now their own employees. WWE beat them routinely, taking all drama out of the confrontation between the sides. Things got worse. ECW joined WCW in the invasion, but Stephanie McMahon became the group mouthpiece. With the alliance as they came to be known, short on talent, Steve Austin defected, becoming the de facto face of WCW. By the time the whole angle was put out of its misery at Survivor Series, 6 months after it began, WCW was unrecognizable. WCW fans insulted at the portrayal of the company their loyalty followed, quit watching wrestling altogether. Undoubtedly, many WWE fans were also disappointed with how this dream battle was handled, and their fandom also wavered. Number 9. Hypocrisy. It may be hard to remember, but there was a time when WWE was the underdog in the wrestling war. WCW dominated the Monday Night War in every measure of profitability from 1996 to early 1998, and WWE responded with Virtual. Branding themselves original, they lambasted WCW as talent-stealing imitator, taking routine potshots at Ted Turner and Eric Bischoff. They especially love to remind fans that most of WCW's top stars, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Roddy Piper, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall, had spent the prime of their career in WWE and were now old, overexposed, and in many cases physically unable to compete in high-level matches. Eventually, WWE turned the tide of the war by making new stars that outshone their predecessor. Once WWE became the only game in town, though, something curious happened. Almost all other wrestlers and personalities they had previously lambasted slowly returned to the company. While nostalgia made them popular in the short term, fans had been conditioned not to take these men seriously, and this their interesting win. The most glaring example came when Hulk Hogan, whom WWE had called old with their Hulkster skit in 1996, returned to the company in 2002. The Hogan Rock Dream match at WrestleMania was the stuff of legend. But when Hogan won the WWE title later in the year, fans tuned out in droves. During his month-long reign, ratings dropped a full percentage point, never recover. Number 8. An overemphasis on old talent. Returning WCW stars having been the only past their prime players to feature heavily on TV in the past 15 years. The immense roster turnover from 1993 to 1998 forced WWE to make new, fresh stars, but with no competition, and very little top-level talent leaving of their own. Violation. The same old faces have been around for well over a decade. Respect for loyal employees is all well and good, but the fact remains that adults in their 30s aren't impressed when they hear that the stars of their youth are still around and being featured prominently on WWE television. As part of the Authority, The Big Show and Kane are constant part of WWE programming, with the latter having inexplicably found himself at odds with WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins for weeks. Triple H, of course, doesn't wrestle as often as he used to, but he's still a centerpiece of WWE programming. In short, if a live fan watches the product, notices a wrestler, and thinks to himself, he's still alive, it's not a good sign. Number 7. Today's stars don't stack up to the ones from the past. While WWE older stars are emphasized too heavily, the younger stars aren't pushed strongly in the way they were years earlier. Steve Austin and The Rock were ultra talented, to be sure, but they were helped by the way the company handled their respective rise to the top. They got the treatment of world-class athletes. They rarely lost, and they were allowed to display their unique talent in a negative way. Today's stars aren't treated with the same care. WWE brass seems to think that big wins redeem a superstar prior losses, but in actuality, they dilute them. Just look at someone like Dolph Ziggler, who scored some major victories in 2012, but hadn't moved up the card at all in the long run. The past few years' worth of United States and Intercontinental champions have suffered from frequent non-title losses as well. Wins and losses, though important, aren't the only way WWE undermine its younger talent, while common sense would dictate hiding the weaknesses of up-and-coming stars. WWE seems intent on focus on them, seemingly hoping the talent will improve in their problem area in front of the world. The result is that Roman Reigns, a talented star with tons of charisma, ends up trying to cut promos like The Rock and failing miserably, looking foolish in front of the fans who are supposed to love him. In the end, the company top star don't draw money like they did in the old days. Number 6. Triple H. Triple H was a great heel and integral part of WWE record-setting business in the year 2000. His matches and storyline with The Rock, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, and even Taka Michinoku proved that he was a world-class worker and helped WWE get larger than it had ever been before. Unfortunately, Triple H's prime as a worker was short-lived. He tore his quadricep in May of 2001, and when he returned the following January, he wasn't the same worker he'd been before. At the same time, his backstage influence was growing as his relationship with Stephanie McMahon became more serious. The same year, the full-time career of Steve Austin and The Rock, the two biggest stars since Hulk Hogan, ended, and Triple H saw his chance. He immediately became the top dog of WWE, subjecting fans to years and years of slow matches and seemingly interminable self-indulgent promos. From 2002 to 2005, the Raw brand was dominated by Triple H antics as he undermined more popular stars like Booker T, Rob Van Dam, and Jericho. Even when Triple H turned face, his juvenile antics with Shawn Michaels as degenerate as took up way more TV time than necessary and didn't really amuse anyone. to this day, Triple H continued to hog television, making himself the centerpiece of the company he stands to inherit. Many fans over the years simply couldn't stomach the man's constant presence on screen, and they can't be blamed. Number 5. Too much television. When WWE got really popular in the late 1990s, Raw was their only show save for some weekend recap programming aimed at younger viewers. When WCW added Thunder to their schedule in 1998, the prevailing belief was that the 2 extra hours of TV would lead to WCW overexposing their product and ultimately doing damage to themselves. Instead, 2 primetime shows became the norm for pro wrestling, and WWE was forced to follow suit by introducing SmackDown, with a rich roster that was eventually divided into 2 brands. 4 hours of TV weren't hard to fill. As the years wore on and the roster got thinner, though, SmackDown became more of a B show, with less emphasis placed on it every year. What did WWE do? They added more television, of course. Superstars and main event were added to the lineup, as was the now defunct Saturday Morning Slam. Those shows weren't required viewing, but the most devastating blow came in the summer of 2012, when Monday Night Raw added another hour to its regular broadcast. WWE Brass didn't even want to make the change, but money offered by the USA Network made it offer they couldn't refuse. 185 minutes of pro wrestling every Monday night is daunting when the product is good, and given what the company's been working with the past few years, Raw is nearly impossible to get through each and every week. It's little wonder fans are just giving up. Number 4. UFC does WWE better than WWE does. As the first decade of the 21st century closed, many wrestling fans reconvened as fans of a new organization, UFC. While WWE had always denied competition with the MMA giant, citing that their own predetermined nature put them in a different category from the UFC, that line of thinking is merely an excuse. It's easy for WWE to shrug its collective shoulder and say that older fans want to watch a product that's real, but that's not entirely true. Yes, former WWE fans flocked to UFC when the organization became popular in 2006 and 2007, but it wasn't because of the novelty of seeing real fights. UFC had already been around for well over a decade at the time, and was part of American pop culture lexicon. The real draw was their larger-than-life personality with building feuds and then fighting, with no thrill and clear winners and losers. The same fans who thrilled to Steve Austin became enamored with Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture for the exact same reason, and former WWE superstar Ken Shamrock, as a recognizable figure in UFC, only helped their cause. When Brock Lesnar debuted with the organization, he brought it to its peak popularity. WWE, meanwhile, was focusing on convoluted storyline and silliness, and they were left in the dust. Number 3. Lack of choice. WWE popularity grew steadily towards the end of the 1990s, but fans who still weren't into the product weren't lost. WCW was still a major force in the wrestling world, and for all that could be said about it, the product was quite different than that of WWE. Likewise, ECW remained the underground alternative to the Big Two. What they lacked in name power, they made up for in pure excitement. All in all, there was something for every type of wrestling fan. Once WCW and ECW once WCW and ECW went out of business, all of that changed. In the years since, the only company besides WWE that even hit most fan radar is TNA, and they become infamous for bad booking, a roster rich with big league cash-off, and a WWE-like product. To most wrestling fans, WWE is the only game in town, and the choices are love it, leave it, or follow casually and spend no money on the product. At one time, it was expected that WWE purchase of WCW would see the latter fans jump to the former. Instead, a few years after the buyout, millions of fans who once watched wrestling on Monday night have stopped altogether. Number 2. TVPG. A common rally cry of lapsed WWE fans is that the PG era has sapped the company of its of its in-your-face attitude. This is something of a misconception after all. HLA and Katie Vick were as non-PG as WWE ever got, and those angles did nothing but turn off fans. There's no reason that a wrestling company can't put out a compelling product that respects its customer intelligence and still maintain a PG rating. Don't tell that to WWE though. The move to PG in 2008 seems to be little more than a heads up that the insipid raunchiness that fans had come to associate with the promotion needed to be replaced with equally bad comedy involving terrible writing and more often than not, little people. It's not a new concept from Hillbilly Jim to Donk to Hornswoggle. There's not much that can make a wrestling fan question his hobby as quickly as Vince McMahon's idea of humor, but it's become more child-oriented than ever in the PG era, and that caused many older fans to see the rating as a sign of a paradigm shift. And sure, a PG rating doesn't need to hurt a wrestling show, but WWE makes sure it does. And number one, WWE just isn't good. In the end, all other aforementioned problems are merely symptoms of a greater one. Since the end of the Attitude Era, WWE has put on a product that constantly underwhelming, frustrating, and insulting to its fans. Sure, there have been spots of greatness here and there. The days of the SmackDown 6, WrestleMania 20, CM Punk feud with John Cena, Daniel Bryan ascent to the main event, but those have typically been isolated storyline mired in the muck. Why did the product take such a nosedive? After all, 2000 wasn't just WWE business high point. It was widely considered to be the company creator's apex, as well. Some point to the increasing influence of Stephanie McMahon, who took on the role of head writer in 2001 and has often been criticized for her acumen when it comes to pro wrestling. It may be impossible to pinpoint a reason, but one thing is clear, it's not the talent. WWE Raw is as good now as it's ever been, and much, much stronger than it was when the company started to surge in 1998. For loyal fans, that make it all the more frustrating. WWE had all the tools to be great. The company just suffered from a lack of direction. Still, things don't look to change anytime soon. WWE continues to falter and drag the rest of the wrestling world down with it, while fans watch pay-per-view by themselves and flock to message boards to discuss what was once a pop culture phenomenon. Well, that is, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys on the next one. Peace.